So, whether you're a student burning the midnight oil, a researcher digging for that next breakthrough, or really anyone creating something new, protecting your own work and respecting the work of others is absolutely fundamental. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how you can safeguard your academic and creative integrity and make sure the work you put out there is truly 100% your own. First things first, we really need to get on the same page about what we're talking about here. And I promise you, the origin of the word plagiarism is way more dramatic than you probably think. It goes so far beyond just a simple copy and paste job. No, you are not reading that wrong. The Latin root of plagiarism is plagiarius, which literally means a kidnapper. Just let that sink in for a second. It's not about stealing words. It's about stealing the child of someone's mind, their unique idea, their creation. This really sets the stage for how seriously we need to take this, right? Okay, so bringing it into the modern day, the definition is a bit more straightforward. Plagiarism is basically taking someone else's work, their words, their data, their ideas, and then presenting them as if they were your own. It's really an act of intellectual theft. Now, the most blatant form, the one we all know, is just grabbing a chunk of text from a website or a book and dropping it right into your paper without giving any credit. That's the easy one, a clear-cut case, no question about it. But here's where it gets a little tricky. Plagiarism has some subtle traps. Even if you change a few words around, use a thesaurus, if you're paraphrasing but you don't credit the original source of the idea, yep, that's still plagiarism. That idea itself has an owner, and you have to give them a nod. Okay, so we know what it is, but why is it such a big deal? Why does it matter so much? Let's jump into the next section and look at how this can snowball into some very real-world consequences, both from an ethical and a legal standpoint. And that's a fair question, right? You might be sitting there thinking, look, information is everywhere today. It's so easy to get. What's the actual harm in borrowing a few ideas? Well, the big deal is, a lot bigger than you might think. Ethically, it's like a house of cards. First off, it's theft. Simple as that. Second, you're actually short-circuiting your own brain. You don't really learn or absorb the material if you just copy it. Third, it can seriously come back to haunt you, damaging your reputation and your career prospects way down the line. And finally, it's just so disrespectful to the person who put in all that time and effort to create the original work. And listen, the consequences aren't just a slap on the wrist or a bad grade. They can get very real and very legal. For instance, under Section 63 of India's Copyright Act, infringement can lead to actual jail time and some really hefty fines, up to 2 lakh rupees. So yeah, this isn't just about academic rules, we're talking serious, real-life legal trouble. All right, enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. I'm going to walk you through a super clear 5-step framework you can use. Think of it as your shield to protect your work and make sure your originality shines through. So here it is, our roadmap. Step 1, we've pretty much covered understanding what plagiarism is in all its sneaky forms. Now we get to the really active stuff you can do. Taking notes the right way, citing absolutely everything, paraphrasing intelligently, and the best part, adding your own unique voice to the conversation. Okay, here's a game-changing habit for step 2. Don't write your paper with the source material open right next to you. Seriously, try this. Read the source, absorb it, then close the book or the tab. Then write down the key ideas from memory. This little trick forces you to actually process the information and express it in your own words from the get-go. Step 3 is totally non-negotiable. You have to cite your sources, always. The Indian Copyright Act gives authors the right to claim authorship. So citing isn't just some boring formality your professor makes you do. It's about respecting a real legal and moral right. It doesn't matter if it's a website, a journal, or a major legal case like KS Puttaswamy, you've got to give credit where credit is due. Now for step 4, let's get really specific about paraphrasing, because this is where people trip up. It's so easy to fall into the trap of poor paraphrasing, just using a thesaurus to swap out a few words here and there. That's still way too close to the original. Smart paraphrasing means you've truly understood the concept, and you're now explaining it completely differently, with your own sentence structure, your own vocabulary. And finally, we get to the most important step of all, adding your own value. This is where you come in. Your work should never just be a collection of other people's ideas, even if you cite them all perfectly. What's your take? Do you agree, disagree? What's your critique? This is what makes the work truly, uniquely yours. Now, I know doing all of this correctly can feel a little daunting, especially when you're on a deadline. But the good news is you don't have to go it alone. Let's look at some awesome digital tools that can act as a safety net, helping you check your work before you hand it in. And hey, in the spirit of exactly what we're talking about, we're going to cite our source for this list of tools. This info comes to us from Jurivine, which is an excellent resource. See, it's that easy. Practice what you preach. And here it is, your digital safety net. As you can see, there are a ton of options out there. A lot of them, like QuestText and small SEO tools, have really solid free plans that are perfect for a quick check. And don't forget, your college or university very likely gives you access to a heavy hitter like Turnitin. Just think of it as a final proofread, but for originality. It's a crucial last step to catch anything you might have missed by accident. So, we've covered the what, the why, and the how. But let's end by kind of reframing this whole conversation. The goal here isn't just about avoiding getting in trouble. It's really about achieving something so much more valuable. Ultimately, all of this, it's about finding and developing your own voice, your unique perspective, your analysis, your way of putting things. That is your most powerful asset as a thinker and a creator. The steps we talked about aren't just a bunch of rules. They're a framework for developing and protecting that asset. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. How are you going to protect your greatest asset and make sure your voice is heard?